India's aviation regulator, the DGCA, it has said that Air India needs to set straight its crew rostering system or face severe action, which could even include the airline losing its operator permission. In other words, its license to operate. The regulator wants 3 senior staff members responsible for crew rostering to be immediately removed from their post. In fact, the regulator has 3 specific concerns against these officials here. They have been accused of unauthorized and non-compliant crew pairings, violation of mandatory licensing, and systemic failures in scheduling protocol. We'll try and understand what the DGCA's action and its implications are concerned. In fact, I'm currently joined by Dr. Sumeet Suseelan. He is an aviation expert, also an author. I have Captain Ishan Khalid, a veteran IAF pilot. He is also an ex-airline captain, an aviation expert himself. Captain Khalid, speaking about the DGCA's action and its implications, what does, when the DGCA says repeated and serious violations, what does it imply about Air India's internal compliance as well as the safety culture that is present at the moment?
Okay, first of all, we, Air India and all of us are grappling after the sad and very disastrous accident that has happened. And there is obviously a heightened anxiety about with everyone, including the operators, pilots, passengers, and it will also be there for the regulator. So they are addressing things that should have been addressed maybe earlier. Well, it is their job to do, to monitor and find out where these limitations are not being followed by the airline. Flight duty time limitation. How many hours a pilot can work and thereafter fatigue will set in. It is a guideline which is given by the regulator and enforced by the regulator, and airlines make the roster according to that. Having said that, we should actually warn our viewers that this is absolutely not connected with Air India accident at Ahmedabad.
Okay.
There is no way that, slight incursion on the FDTL or fatigue, okay, has in any way contributed towards this Air India accident, nor it could have. Like I said, it is an advisory guideline which keeps the fatigue level on the acceptable limit side. And this is an ongoing problem, tug of war between the regulator, pilot unions, pilots, and the airline. Airline would want us to work a little more. Pilots would like to take rest a little more. DGCA has to find a balance. And when there is no solution, all these parties have gone to the court. And even court has decided that, we will look at it more deeply and then give a decision. So some of the contentions which were there will now be effective on 1st of July, while the old FDTL will continue. So what you need to understand is neither the old FDTL nor the new FDTL are like, the reasons for accident. They may in a long term cause fatigue and then cause other things. Okay. Coming back to the present one, yes, Air India has been warned, has taken actions, and those people who were in charge of the rostering and they did not do the rostering properly as it was mandated and approved by the DGCA, it is something, it would have been much better if it was not a post-mortem issue and it was actually prevented upfront. There are software issues that can actually raise the flag for any incursions which are there. I don't know whether it was manually overridden. That would be gross. Okay, but world across, all the airlines suffer with this problem. And well, if you talk about other airlines cancelling, like, as we are talking today, there are over 300 flights cancelled or delayed in Europe. Okay. It is not only because of Air India, but all across. It is a peak travel time, and you would have delays and you would have some incursions like, but I'm not saying that those incursions are something that should be acceptable. Okay. It happens that the aircraft has diverted to Jaipur and then another 4 hours of waiting, and then you have. So in that case, the provision is there that airline applies to the DGCA and says, I need an extension.
Okay.
And so you get the extension. So an incursion per se does not cause an accident.
Okay. Dr. Suseelan, I want to get your reaction on what Captain Khalid said about the tug of war between the Pilot Association and the aviation. I also want to get your understanding of when the DGCA it issues a warning saying that your license is going to be suspended, operator permissions will be withdrawn. How significant is that warning?
Yeah, I think I should say that due to the rapid expansion in Air India, you can see that from past couple of years, they got back-to-back aircraft. They are in major shortage of the pilots. That's the reason somewhere the rostering are playing a major role over here. They are trying to pull up the crew who are already in the rest period. Because you can see last moment cancellation of the flight because of the shortage of pilots. Now they started few more bases like Bangalore, Ahmedabad, all these new bases from where they started doing ultra long haul flights. For ultra long haul flights, they used to have only 777, 787 pilots, and they were in short of these pilots. So that's why they were trying to pull the people who are all in the rest period. And there was a fight between the airline pilot association and the airline itself, Air India itself. They were fighting because of the rest period. The airline pilots wanted a rest period, whereas we know when they fly more, they get paid more. But if they are denying because of the fatigue, airlines should understand this part that yes, they are in fatigue and they need sufficient rest period. And this is not the first time the Air India is getting the notice for following the rules. This letter was definitely followed up earlier in years also. But now the airline become the DGCA become very strict, and they're trying to give a notice for the cancellation of license as well. Because definitely government is not in mood to entertain any type of action in future. That's why this type of action is taken. Earlier also there was a complaint. There are few airlines got this type of notice, and strict action was taken by the government also.
Right. But Dr. Suseelan, when you speak about the broader industry and safety concerns, specifically in this particular case, the DGCA's, is this DGCA's sign of improved oversight, this proactive stance by the DGCA, or does it indicate that there is persistent underlying issues with Indian Airlines and specifically Air India?
It was highlighted earlier. There were some even C-arm issues. There are some crew resource management issue was there. There were fight between the pilots also in the cockpit earlier, whereas some of the pilots were grounded because of this reason. So there was a reason because of the schedulers. The rostering department were putting only the favorite crew in particular flight distance, location, something like New York flights, and some flights are always on high demand by pilot itself. So on that demand, they were doing something favorism to some pilots. So this thing was highlighted, and some juniors were highlighted this issue, and they got grounded by the airline itself. So now the airline, the DGCA itself had taken this thing in observation and given this notice to the airline.
Okay. Captain Khalid, we understand that many of these major airlines, they, manage their crew rostering in order to ensure that there is compliance, there is safety. A very quick word from you. Are there any best practices that Air India can adopt?
I think the best practices, about 2 decades back, it was all manual. Now there are softwares in place, and softwares are able to manage this rostering very well with very little input from the manager rostering. And but rightly said, it is not only that manpower issue is everywhere, including the DGCA. DGCA probably would be understaffed by 40%. That is why this notice has come now, which should have actually come in this same tone and tenor maybe 1 month back.
Correct.
Or maybe 6 months back. So understaffing is everywhere. Okay. Understaffing, but there is also a commercial pressure. Okay. Right now, just cancelling 10-15% of the flight, you would have ruckus at the airport. True. Because even the passengers are not very tolerant to delays and flight cancellations, and thereafter they want to go because they are not bothered about the FDTL, or they are not bothered about what is the pressure on their line. They have booked a ticket and they should go, and this is peak travel time. We will have a lot of problems with these cancellations coming up, and this will add on to the pressure to commercials.
Okay.
On commercials.
All right, Captain Khalid and Dr. Suseelan, we're running short of time, but thank you very much for your inputs, your analysis, and how does this incident reflect on the overall state of safety oversight in aviation industry, and that is a question that still remains. Meanwhile, we'll slip into a very short break, but the news will continue here on NDTV. And for the latest updates and all the breaking news, do not forget to subscribe to the NDTV YouTube channel.